Hey, Jovan here with your free MLB Extendo clip play for Thursday, July 31st, 2025. Now, you know it's a Pick Dawgz. We love giving our free picks, but if you want my best bets, the best that I'm putting in today, go to the website, pickdawgz.com, where you can find my or one of our other world-class handicappers picks for today. Now, let's do a little bit of house cleaning like we always do. And it was a successful Extendo clip campaign as the Tampa Bay Rays got the job done at -0.5 at plus 168 odds first 5 innings. It was a 1-0 game. Zach Littell was being dominant in the Bronx, and they ended up losing the game. But we're not concerned with that. We were only concerned with the first 5 innings, and they were winning at the end of 5. And they were blanking the Yankees, which is always a good thing. So we got the job done in that one. As far as the 2-team parlay, we didn't have one. I just didn't like anything. There wasn't enough meat on the bone at nighttime. And if you haven't noticed, these 2-team parlays, they're only night games. So there were only 4, 5 maybe night games, and I didn't like any of them enough to put out a 2-team parlay. You'll never catch any 2-team parlays to be daytime games. Don't want to put it out, and then for most of the day, the public's lost. They haven't lost. They haven't seen it, or they missed the play. That's what I'm trying to say. So they might not be one today because it's only 3 MLB games, 1 preseason Hall of Fame football game, and there's 1 WNBA game. I might delve into the prop market, the player prop market. Something I really don't touch on that much, but sometimes I do. So I can't say that I do look into it, but that market is pretty iffy as far as the odds that you're gonna lay on any said game. So I find myself not even being bothered with it, but I'll look for something. One of the things I did want to talk about is that sometimes you're not going to get the best line. Sometimes the market moves a line to a position where you don't want to be in. You're getting the worst number, but you like the team and you like to play. What do you do in that situation? Well, in the alternative, what you do is you wait for the game to start and you live bet it. You wait for the game to start and wait for the better number, wait for the best number. You might get a game at, let's say, -7.5. You were on the favorite, -7.5. You didn't like it. You liked it at 6. You didn't like it at 7.5. Well, you could wait for the game to start, and they might be down immediately, or at some point they might be down to where that line moves from that 7.5 to not only the 6 that you wanted or that you were willing to bet on, but it might move to 5, it might move to 4. It all depends on the ebbs and flows of the game. Now, this works better in sports like the NBA and college basketball sports, as opposed to the NFL and college football. More possessions, more up and down, more, ebbs and flows of the game, like I said. But this is one of the strategies that I employ specifically if I don't like a line, but I like the play. But like I said, I just don't like the line where it's at, and I'll wait. Now, there's a risk that you run in doing that. Sometimes you might not get that number at all. You might get the worst number. Then you're just not gonna bet it, or if you're chasing, then you're gonna bet the worst number. But I wouldn't advise doing that. But that's one of the things that I wanted to touch on. You can always wait to live bet games and wait for that advantage, wait for a better number. Hell, sometimes, the team that you were on, they might have been that 7.5 point favorite. They might be down by 20 in the basketball game at halftime, and then you pounce. You might get a better number. Now, the odds makers, they don't do you any favors. they might not even have that team as an underdog at that point. It all depends on the team. It all depends on the game. It all depends on the situation. It all depends on the opponent. So these are the variables that you just can't control, but just my 2 cents on, something that I like to do, a strategy I like to employ. Now let's move on to the Extendo clip play that we have for today, and we are going to go to Cincinnati, Ohio, where the Atlanta Braves are facing the Cincinnati Reds, and we have a pitcher mismatch here. Oh yeah, we got Cookie Carrasco on the mound. Good old Carlos Carrasco, long-time MLB starter. He's played for the Cleveland Guardians now, but they might have been the Cleveland Indians when he was there. The New York Mets and several other teams, or a couple different other teams, if I'm not mistaken. Well, one thing that we know about Cookie Carrasco is that he's gonna have runners littered on the base paths. He gives up a lot of walks, and those walks or those hits, he's going to give up some hits also, and some runners are going to come home. Now, I expect the Cincinnati Reds to take full advantage of him, but these are the Cincinnati Reds, and they don't always do what they're supposed to do. They're an up and down team. They're not reliable at all as far as I'm concerned. But like I said, they're dealing with Cookie Carrasco, and I expect for them to get their runs in. On the other side, we have Andrew Abbott and their race, the Cincinnati Reds ace. And I expect him to be his usual dominant self, giving up minimum runs, if any runs. And at the end of 5, the Reds should have a multiple run lead. It's really that simple. So this is how we're going to play it. We're going to back the Cincinnati Reds -1.5 at plus 160 yards. First 5 innings, of course. It's just one of those situations where we got to take advantage of a pitcher who hasn't looked good in his minor league stints. Not really. They tweak a lot of things in minor leagues. He's a veteran. I get it, but this is Cookie Carrasco we're talking about, a guy who I have faded personally, and he's made me a lot of money doing so. So that's that on that. Book your cash and do what you got to do with it, but go to the website, pickdawgz.com, where you can find my or one of our other world-class handicappers picks. And let's reiterate that one real quick. That'll be the Cincinnati Reds -1.5, plus 160, first 5 innings. Now, it's less than 24 hours before that Christmas in July special ends. It is now July 31st. You have less than 24 hours to jump on board with my yearly package, $400 off. It will run you $1,100 for the year. And look, the fact of the matter is this: we're going to get this money come fall, come winter, come spring. Right now, 2025, we're spanking the books. We're substantially in the green, and it's going to continue. That's really a point of fact. Year in, year out, this is what we do. These are my wheelhouse sports: NFL, college football, NBA, college basketball, and I'm high volume. So we're going to get this money. The years 2022 and 2023, I was a winning handicapper, winning sports handicapper, winning sports better, and it's going to continue this year. So with all that said, smash that like button. Let's get this money and hit the book where it hurts.